All right, so back over here. Next day, I didn't want to go across the creek with my wife. Well, excuse me, down to the creek, across that big mud pit with my wife. She's a little spooked of it, but I'm by myself today, so we're gonna get down there to the creek and see what that looks like. I haven't been down there since he opened that road up, but to kind of give you a little idea on what the irrigation is going to look like out here. It's going to be a lot of irrigation. All that turf up there is going to be irrigated. All that open area, that's, we'll say right about 2 acres roughly. And then the putting green, which is going to be behind the house, is going to be roughly 20,000 square feet, fully irrigated. And then all the turf up here that'll be around the house, fully irrigated, that's another 15,000 square feet ish, roughly, something like that. Maybe more like 10,000, something like that. Anyway, it's got to all have water to it. So, and of course, it's all going to be Bermuda. Still haven't figured out where I'm going to do my little fescue and bluegrass and ryegrass plots at. Probably up there in the very far corner, maybe. Might possibly do it down here in this bottom, right here as you come in the shop driveway. Not sure yet, but anyway, all that's going to need water. To some extent, not quite so much the Bermuda, but if I sprig it or seed it or do any sod work, obviously that part's going to have quite a bit of water. But once the Bermuda takes, it's pretty much lights out with it. It really, for what I'm doing, I mean, I could get the Bermuda started and probably never water it ever again, and it would be completely fine. Unless, you're getting like a abnormal, weird, crazy drought like we went in this year, then obviously it might struggle a little bit, but not even remotely close to the way fescue and other cool season turf do. But anyway, that's for a different video. Irrigation. So this is going to be my shop right here, 60 wide, 45 feet deep, and somewhere inside the shop, I'm going to have what I'm going to call a water room or irrigation room. And it may not be a completely boxed in room, but it may just be a sectioned off corner or something like that, where I'm going to have a nurse tank. And what a nurse tank is you would have a supply of water, and in this case, that supply is coming from that creek back there in the back, and you would fill the nurse tank up with the water. Then you would have a pump that would pump the water from the nurse tank, and that would feed the irrigation system. So, as the creek fills up the nurse tank applies the water out to the yard out here. That's option one. Option two is going to be, depending on the amount of run, I've got to measure it from the wood line here. Actually, I've got to measure it from way up there at the house, on the other side of the house, all the way back down to the creek, see how far that run is going to be. Is it 1,000 feet? Is it 2,000 feet? Is it 3,000 feet? I don't have a clue until I put a roller on it and measure it. But option two would be to have a pump that is big enough to pump the water out of the creek, pump it. And by the way, it's all uphill from down there. It's all uphill that goes right there. It's not a tremendous amount of slope, but there is slope to it. And so the water's going to be pushing uphill, pumping uphill. And so will the pump be big enough to push and supply all the irrigation up here simply by pulling it out of the creek? I personally would rather have a pump big enough that would supply everything from just the creek and not have to sweat a nurse tank. And by the way, the nurse tank would be anywhere between 3 and 5,000 gallons. So it would be a very large nurse tank. And of course, it'd be inside the shop, protected from the elements, and where it's not an eyesore. I think personally, a better fit for me would be to not have a nurse tank. But if I gotta have one, I gotta have one. It is what it is. So let's ride down here and see what this creek looks like. I am extremely excited to see it. And I can already tell you that this is going to probably be my dump area. It's far enough away from the swampy area down here where it's nice and dry up here still. And I wouldn't have to clean up too awful much in here. Maybe that tree's about as big around as my maybe my thigh. That one's a little bit bigger than my thigh, and then there's several in here that might be big around as my wrist. Some little scragglers in here. Not much in here, but I could clean out this area right here and kind of open that up a little bit. Of course, I'll leave those two big ones right there. Probably take this one down right here. Might take that one down over there. And I can just clean this up. Come in here, bush hog it. Bring your Ventrac with a power rake in there. Just kind of level it out, grade it, and that's it. Leave it just like that, dirt. And anytime I verticut and vacuum, here at the house, I can dump the debris right here. Mowing, if I collect clippings, I can dump it right here. Brush, sticks that may fall from a storm or whatever, dump it right here. Just a good little area for like a dump spot to get rid of stuff. And that is obviously no trash in that. It would all be organic type stuff, grass clippings, sticks, limbs, pruning, that kind of thing. All right, so I did talk to my brother about coming down in here with his machine, his side-by-side, and he was like, I don't know if I would take a chance on driving it across quite yet. So I'm going to give him a little bit more time to, get some more logs put in here and build this up a little bit. And then I'll probably put some type of rock over it or something. And that way we can cross it kind of easily, because I'm going to have to be able to get the tractor back in here, if I ever need to do any work on the backside or whatever. But let's go back in here and see what this looks like. Oh yeah, look at here, nice little open area, plenty of room to turn the tractor around. One thing I think I am going to do is come down here with my grapple and some of this debris right here. I'm going to grapple that up and take it back up there, get it back up to the burn pile, get all that burned, or see if he can do it while he's down here one. Oh, look at here. Oh yeah. That is a pretty sight. That's actually a very good spot right there for the pump to go in. You can see it's a little bit thinner right there, and it kind of opens up and gets real wide right here, and that's quite a bit deeper there as well. Of course, over winter time, it'll be a little bit safer doing it down here. I'm sure this is Copperhead and Water Moccasin City down through here. And of course, all this stuff will be wilted and gone. Once we get to winter time, cold, no critters are stirring around, and I can come down here and get all this taken care of, get all this done. But this is going to be really sweet right here. Of course, I'll bring the Ventrac down here with the bush hog and get in here and clean all this undergrowth out and just kind of open it up just a little bit more than what you see here. Of course, that big tree will have to come down. Looks like he tried to push it down. That's a dead tree, actually. Maybe he's just still got to get that up. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm headed with the irrigation. And you can just, like I said, pretty good hike to pump it all the way up there to the house. So I got to get to work on figuring out pump and, hose diameter size, because you'll want a main line. I'm thinking probably a 2-inch, 1.5 to 2-inch, water line going from the pump all the way up there. And then probably in the yard itself, I'll probably run 1.25 inches. That big, humongous irrigation head I showed y'all in one video, probably not going to use that. Probably going to stick with more like the Falcon style Rainbird head, which is a little bit bigger than the typical, typical homeowner size 4-inch Rainbird head. I've got a few Falcons, and they cover a pretty large distance as long as you can put the pressure behind them and feed it with enough volume. So I will more than likely go with those and call it a day. So that's an update on the water situation right here. This is really going to be cool when all this is done. I got some barbed wire fence right here. I definitely need to keep an eye out for that. I think that guy over there used to have cows, or had. I don't think he still has them. He can't have them because I've never seen a cow over there. I think there, at one point in time, there used to be cows over there. So that's why they had a barbed wire fence back here. Whoa, good God almighty. Whew, did you see that thing? What in the world was that? That was a really weird looking thing flying at me, and it was massive. Anyway, yeah, I got to get the barbed wire up, and then I can come in and get all this neatened up, cleaned up. And of course, at some point in time, this will all be a gravel pad right here. So, and then the whole driveway coming back in here to the creek will be gravel. So, whether if it snows, bad weather, muddy, whatever, I can still access the road. So, we got all that to do, man. It's going to be a tremendous amount of videos coming from everything from getting in a creek, putting a pump in, to putting irrigation in, to planting grass, to cleaning up the woods, gravel driveway back in here, building a home. We're going to show the whole thing, and I think it's going to be a pretty cool process. It's probably going to take us a little bit of time to get it all done because it's such a large scale, but I'm a pretty persistent fella, and so I'll get it done pretty quickly. Anyway, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch. I'll check you later.